Good afternoon, everyone. This is Gatwiri Muthara, Senior Manager of External Affairs at CompTO headquarters. We'd like to welcome you to our webinar, and we're just going to wait a few seconds and see if we have any other folks joining us. We had about 65 people register in RSVP, so we're looking for a packed house today. Thank you all for joining us. We do apologize that we were running a few minutes late. We wanted to have everything in order for you. So that being said, I see people are logging into the Zoom as we speak. I'm going to go ahead and start our introductions. So I'd like to welcome you to our CompTO webinar, Emerging Leaders Presents Creating Your Mentor Network, Maximizing Your Opportunities to Expand Your Circle of Influence. Before we begin, as always, we like to thank our industry partners for their support throughout the year of CompTO for our various programs and initiatives. And our industry partners are HNTB, WSP USA, AECOM, and Jacobs. I'd like to review a few webinar housekeeping items just so everyone understands what's going to happen today. Please, if you're experiencing any technical difficulties, please send a chat message to the host that will come directly to me, and we can try to troubleshoot anything that's happening. To submit questions, please use the Q&A box. I know people like to do things in the chat, and we love the chat from the side, but it's best if you put any questions you have in the Q&A box. Questions will be answered at the end of the presentation. We've allotted about 10 to 15 minutes for Q&A. So if you could hold tight, we'll answer your questions. This call is being recorded and will be made available to all attendees. And as always, thank you for joining us. As we start this webinar, I want to introduce you to our leaders of the Emerging Leaders Subcommittee. They are Cyril Wings. He's the Director of Infrastructure, Water and Transportation at Burns and McDonnell. And Aisha Eccleston-Mundy, she's the Director of Global Logistics at Centro Automotive Corporation. And to do an introduction, Cyril Wings, our co-chair, is going to start us out. So I'll hand things over to Cyril.
Great, thank you, Gatwiri and the national team. Again, welcome everyone to the Emerging Leaders Subcommittee webinar. Today, we're going to be talking about creating your mentor network, really finding ways to maximize opportunities and expand your circle of influence. So a little bit about the Emerging Leaders Subcommittee. It is basically a subcommittee to our mentoring, I'm sorry, not our mentoring, but our membership committee. And we focus on ways to provide our members, the CompTO members, benefits through resources, and really focused on career development and tools and resources for our young professionals, for our managers, for our senior managers, and our C-suiters, our CEOs, CFOs, all those folks within the CompTO community, the CompTO network, to allow you to continue to develop your professional careers. So that's what we're here about, and that's what this webinar is going to really hone around. So the message should be pointed for all of those different levels. You should find a way to identify some level of connection with our panelists. And this is going to be a moderated panel to give you some information on that. So ideally, as we go into our national conference in July, from July 9th to the 11th, that we want you to take some of this information to be able to do a couple things. One, identify and to cultivate your mentoring relationships. So start those now so you can take those into the conference and then beyond that. And then secondly, to develop a game plan. So as you go into the conference, you have a great opportunity to maximize the benefits of being at the national conference. So with that, I'm going to introduce our moderator, Keanu Mccoy, and she will take it from there. So Keanu is the diversity specialist with HNTB Corporation, where she serves on a program management consulting team for Georgia's DOT Major Mobility Investment Program. As a DBE supervisor, she works to encourage, elevate, and empower small businesses seeking opportunities to do business on the largest infrastructure programs in the Southeast. Keanu is an active member of CompTO Atlanta, currently serving as secretary for the years of 2021 to 2023 and is on the executive board. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Keanu Mccoy.
Thanks, Sorrel, and thank you everyone for joining us. I'm so excited to be here, and we are excited to have this conversation. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce our panelists, and I'm going to start with Whitney Morgan. He is the DBE Liaison Officer at the Kansas City Area Transit Authority. As DBE Liaison Officer, he is responsible for KCATA's disadvantaged small, minority, and women business enterprise programs. He is working with KCATA leadership to create a civil rights department, which will oversee vendor outreach, diversity supplier programs, ADA compliance, Title VI compliance, and EEO compliance. Whitney is the immediate past president of Compto Kansas City and a 2020 recipient of the Reverend Jerry Moore President's Leadership Award. He holds a bachelor's degree in architecture studies and a master's degree in urban planning from the University of Kansas. Next is J.R. Alexander. Driven by a passion for improving the passenger experience and creating better access to equitable public transit, J.R. Alexander is a highly versatile, experienced transportation professional, having served in various communications, service planning, bus scheduling, bus operations, and project management positions with LA Metro, Santa Clara VTA, Apple Inc., and Sound Transit. JR currently works as a specialist master for Deloitte, assisting transit agencies across the country in modernizing their approaches to service delivery, transit planning, and organizational structures. JR has been a member of Compto since 2014 and was a recipient of the Compto National Scholarship Program. He has served in several board positions at the chapter level, including secretary and communications coordinator. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you for having us, for real. It's an honor.
So today we are talking about maximizing opportunities to expand your circle of influence through mentor networks. Sorrel just went through this whole spiel, so we're going to jump right in because I am excited to talk about this. And these gentlemen have maximized their mentor networks, so we just want to get some gems from them on how we can do it too. So let's start, you guys, with identifying mentor relationships. So what would you say are the top 3 traits that you look for when identifying someone as a mentor? And do these traits change based on your need or purpose for that person?
Okay, I'll set it, JR. For me personally, I look for only people or a person that has done it before, meaning that whatever I'm trying to accomplish, I look for people who have physically done that, not a title or someone who wants to do it, but who has accomplished it. Also, somebody who's passionate about what they do, not just doing what they're doing for a 9 to 5 or to pay the bills. If they're passionate about transit or passionate about helping small businesses get work, those are the type of people that I want to connect with. Obviously, Compto has a lot of people who are passionate, who dedicate their time and energy to the initiatives that are passionate to them. Also, someone who is empowered to make decisions, somebody who is a decision maker, somebody who has influence. Those are the type of people that I seek out a.
I think the sound is a little choppy. You all good there, Whitney?
Oh, sorry about that. Did you not hear me?
I heard you. We heard you a little bit. Just want to make sure you were finished, or were you still continuing? My bad.
Go ahead, and I'm gonna reset my internet, and you go ahead, JR.
Okay, cool. So for me, I think one of my biggest things is consistency, right? I think that having somebody who's consistent in how they show up for you is really important, right? Like relate to somebody on a person-to-person level consistently is like really, really important. Availability as well, like kind of like to Whitney's point, like I too also seek out those who have done it before. My aspirations to run a transit agency or to make partner at a consulting firm or wherever my career goal may be, I want to seek out people who have already done that. But also I have to seek out people who are available and willing to share their experiences with me and guide me to achieve that goal or goals, right? The third one kind of speaks to that is somebody who has a desire to not only teach, but to learn as well. And I know we'll kind of get to this a little bit later, but I think that relationships, like mentor-mentee relationships, should always be like a win-win. Whereas like we make sure that like, you're looking out for me, I'm looking out for you, right? You never come to a table empty-handed. You never be invited to somebody else's house and don't bring nothing. So that's just kind of like how I operate just in my personal life. And that's kind of how I approach mentor and mentee relationships as well. And to the second part to that question, they definitely do change, right? I remember when I first got into comp though, I was just, I was just looking around bright and bushy tail, just like, oh, you're a CEO, you're a CEO. Oh my God. Right. And so now, but this is me as an entry level trainee doing social media. Now that I'm in management at a global consulting firm, it's a little bit different. My approach has to be a lot more, I guess you say a lot more focused and a lot more, more focused, if you will. So it definitely changes on time and where you're at in your career and just how you grow as a person.
Yeah, I will say one thing that I have been doing, and especially more as of late, is collecting mentors. So I have personal mentors, I have professional mentors, and I'm just like squirreling them away and taking little bits from here and there. And I think that for me is helpful because you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, and you definitely don't want to get, you can get advice from a whole bunch of people, take what you want and leave the rest. And that's the way that I kind of operate with my network of mentors, and it's really helped me. So thanks for that, you guys. Let's go to the next question. So let's move to a different aspect of mentorship, and that would be peer mentors. They're often overlooked if you think about it. Most people think about mentoring up or, mentoring down, but let's talk about that peer mentoring relationship. What is your tactic for establishing a peer mentoring relationship?
I can take that one.
Go ahead, JR.
I think again, going back to what I said earlier about relating to a person, like, you always want to like network. Yeah, you can network up and down, but mentoring across or networking across is key, right? Whitney doesn't know it, but he's a mentor of mine. Me and Whitney are around the same age, but he's already been a Cultivating chapter president and has won an award. Right. So like I see, like whenever I have a decision or I talk about something, especially because of content related, I go to him first, because like this is somebody who's done it before. Right. So like when I look at it like that, like I think because like we're young, we're like around the same age, similar interests, like things like that, like just kind of building a friendship or building a connection is kind of how it was my tactic, just on like how do we relate, how do we get along, what are some things we have in common, what are some things we don't have in common, but we can have a good conversation about, I can understand your perspective more. Like that's like just a little bit of how I go about it.
Okay, Whitney, any comments?
Oh, absolutely. Can you hear me okay?
Absolutely.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, it's hilarious because JR said a lot of the items that I was going to say. This was not scripted, right? But I can say JR, a peer mentor. And what does that mean? That means someone who's an accountability partner to me, someone who will hold you true to your goals and your aspirations and what you say you want to accomplish in whichever industry you're in. He's inspirational to me. I follow his moves. It's easier to do on social media, or we just check in with each other every now and then, but we are always checking in with each other to make sure that we're moving forward towards each other's goals. Also, someone who has a forward thinking or growth mindset. I don't think someone who is complacent where they are can be a mentor in any capacity. You always have to be looking forward. How can you help yourself and also help others? So I definitely consider JR a peer mentor and a mentor in a lot of aspects for a lot of things that he's accomplished in his very young career. He has a lot more to do.
Thank you for that. I mean, that's just to hear the accolades and the admiration that you guys are sharing in that response. That just shows the importance and what peer mentoring brings. You know, iron sharpens iron. And the only way that we can grow, it takes a village, right? This is our village right here. And we don't want no dull knots in our village. We need this village to be sharp. So
I'm sorry, I'll also say, I also think that extends outside of professionalism too, right? Like you said, to your point, like just having people around you who speak life into you and say like, hey, you may want to consider doing this instead of doing that, right? Somebody that's going to be that little angel on your shoulder and like when you need it the most. So I just kind of want to highlight that as well.
That's a great point, JR. And you know, that's kind of what we were talking about, and we'll go into that whole sponsorship conversation. But just thinking about it, when you that one person that you have that you can bounce ideas off of, and they'll say, oh yeah, that's a great idea, here's how you can even improve on that, or maybe look at it from this perspective, your perspective may not be the best, or you know, there may be a way for you to improve. I think peer mentor relationships, that I think that's the cornerstone of any professional relationship, is that peer mentor, that person that's going to push you and pull you at the same time. Because as they're moving up, you coming with them. As you moving up, they're coming with you. So let's move on. Now that we've talked about identifying those mentor relationships, now how do we keep that relationship going? Because it's great to identify that person that you know that you're looking up to, and they're doing great things, and you want to do those great things, and you guys have met. But how do you build it up? You know, what are some of those things? So what's the main ingredient? And Whitney, I'm gonna shoot this one to you first. What's the main ingredient in cultivating a successful mentor-mentee relationship?
So I'm gonna change the question. I actually have two, Kiana. On the part of the mentee, I think humility is very important. Even when you're introducing yourself to that potential mentor, because on the opposite side, the reason I have two is for the mentor, I think it's valuable for the mentor to give the mentee assignments or tasks, right, to help them grow. It can't just be a relationship of, oh, we go and drink coffee sometimes, or we go have lunch. It has to be fruitful. It has to be something that helps that person grow on both sides. And for the mentor, maybe they have an aspiration to give back or to help others get to where they are. So in order to do that, you have to help them get uncomfortable. You have to give them tasks and assignments. And if you are a true mentee, and if you truly want to be taught, then you'll complete those assignments to grow to where they are.
JR?
No, I 100% agree with that. I'll also add, just with any relationship, communication. Communication is like the big ingredient. And it doesn't have to be every day or even every week or every month. Like just as long as it's a consistent flow, or just to a point where like you know that you can call or email this person or text them and be like, hey, what's going on with you? This is what I have going on. You know, do you have any, or just like, hey, you know, how are you, brother? How are you, sister? Like, you know, what's going on? Like, even just basic communication at that point goes a long way, because that sets the foundation of like, again, we'll talk about this later with sponsorships. This will set the groundwork for somebody who's willing to go to bat for you when you're not in the room. So just being able to like have that good communication flow, and just being able to be consistent in that.
Absolutely. And Sorrel just dropped a great point in the chat. He said there also needs to set goals in the mentoring relationship and know what you're working towards. That is a fantastic point. Thanks for that, Sorrel. I think if you don't have a goal for this relationship, every relationship has a goal. You know, personal relationship, romantic relationships, you want to, there's an end goal. What is the end goal for this mentoring relationship? So thank you for that. I think I would add one more ingredient to this recipe, and that would be a willingness. I love that you said humble, because I think that goes on both sides, because we can learn from each other. And just because you're a mentor, I do think that you need to be humble enough to receive information and learn, the opportunities to learn from your mentee as well. So just to give my little bit of feedback there. So how do you leverage your current network to grow your mentor network? JR, I feel like I want you to jump on this one first.
You do? All right. I see what I can do. I see what I can come up with. No, I would say just because I do a lot of networking just in general, and with my current job, that is a big part of that. I will also say that how I do it is just hey, I'm looking to achieve this goal. I'm looking to do this. Do you know anybody who does that? Right? Just either straight up asking, or if it comes up in conversation, I'm like, hey, let me run this by you. What do you think? And sometimes my mentor or whoever, a peer mentor, might offer. It was like, hey, I know just the person. Reach out to so and so and so and so. Right. And I try to do that with my peoples too, to make sure hey, somebody has somebody that has something they want to achieve or they want to do. I'm quick to say, I got a partner that can do this over here, or, whatever the case may be. So, I think just being able just to be comfortable enough in striking that conversation, just asking or just putting it out there, letting it come to you in naturally conversation. That's how I leverage it. What I don't do, is I go through somebody I know's LinkedIn, and I'll just start searching names and then just randomly introducing myself, because there's no rapport there. There's no stamp there, so and that's just kind of odd to me. But yeah, that's just kind of how I work.
Okay, Whitney.
Total agreement. Although I will add potential people that I feel like on LinkedIn that could potentially grow a relationship with. I will add them on LinkedIn. I'm not above that. But in terms of how do you grow your mentor network, so you have to go where the mentors are. You have to attend board meetings. You have to attend CEO summits. You have to attend the community meetings and do what JR is saying. Basically, what JR is saying is communicating and making yourself uncomfortable. Not everybody wants to go and shake everybody's hand or introduce yourself, but it's kind of branding. If you want to level up, whether you're in the career path or entrepreneur, you have to get outside your comfort zone. You can't just stay stagnant where you are. You have to introduce yourself. You have to pass out business cards. You have to talk about what your goals are, what your aspirations are, and then also ask targeted questions to those potential mentors to see some similar interest there on goals accomplished. So that's how a mentorship relationship form. Because to me, you both have to be passionate about similar interests, or have to or want to get similar goals accomplished. So once common ground is established, or common vested interest, now we can talk. Hey, let's have coffee. Let's discuss that program you were talking about, or let's discuss that scholarship you were talking about. Now that relationship can grow into a potential mentorship, hopefully sponsorship relationship.
Right. And to follow up on what you said earlier about getting about it being branding, confidence is everything. You got to be 10 toes down in who you are, right? And what you provide and what you offer and what you think you can get out of the relationships that you're trying to cultivate, right? Understanding okay, this is who I am at this moment. This is where I'm trying to be. This is where I've come from. Not asking can you help me? But more so hey, this is who I am. Let's connect. How can, how do we move forward in this? And if you're not the person, do you know somebody else who is? But again, that comes with being confident in who you are, and then having the confidence enough to go out and shake the hands, kiss the babies, do whatever you need to do the network.
Absolutely.
Yeah, one more thing, and to that point, he's dropping some nuggets, so I had to talk about that. But you have to carry yourself if you see me walk around ATA, I walk around like I'm the CEO, in a humble manner. But leaders like that. Leaders like that you are projecting yourself more than what your current title is or what you currently accomplish. And it's okay to have new ideas and put in the work to make it happen. You don't have to just stay stagnant to what your current title is. So I appreciate everything, Jay.
Agreed, definitely agreed. And I would add one more layer to that. A lot of times, especially with Compto, we get opportunities for leadership through events such as scholarship luncheons, receptions, happy hours, whatever. Take those opportunities. Those, while they might seem small, a happy hour might be 20, 30 people. It's an opportunity for people to see you in that leadership role. You might not get the opportunity at work, but you can find ways to show your leadership. And I think by identifying people in your network who may be a draw for an event, and you can say, oh yeah, I know such and such. They would come, they can come and speak on my panel, or they can come in and show face at my happy hour. When you bring in that, now you become a draw. You become that person that people want to reach out to and say, hey, such and such has relationships that we can leverage. Now you become that person, that go-to person. And that kind of helps you to build your network too, because as people see you grow, they're like, hey, I want you to be in my network. So yeah, this is a great conversation. I'm really enjoying this. So let's talk about that win-win climate. We kind of touched on it, but how do you create that win-win climate in a mentor-mentee relationship? What are some tactics that some gems we can pass on about that?
I think
Go ahead,
what Sorrel dropped in the chat in terms of establishing clear goals and aspirations, that's very important on both sides. For the mentee, maybe they're looking to obtain a certain position, promotion, leadership trait or quality. For the mentor, maybe they want to plant seeds. Maybe they want to duplicate themselves in the industry because they recognize that they're close to retirement, or maybe they're transitioning to a different industry. So they may have a vested interest in creating a Keanu who's going to be able to just take over HNTB because they've invested that time and interest into her. So how to create a win-win, have goals established, and like I said, tasks and assignments. It has to be, it's a relationship, but it's a business-minded relationship. It's a growth relationship. So tangible performance. Sorrel asked me to talk on CEO level, what they may be looking for people in our position. And I think ideas, leadership traits, and just action. I think everything we're talking about sounds good on paper, right? But if you don't implement anything, then it's useless in my mind. One of my favorite quotes is, knowledge is power, but it's not power. Application, applied knowledge is actual power. If knowledge was power, then librarians would be millionaires, right?
You just said a word right there. You just said a word right there. And I would add to that, from the leader CEO level, I think buy-in is important. Mm-hmm. Buy-in is key, because if you're not, and showing that buy-in, absolutely, being visible with that buy-in is key, because it's one thing for you to say to me in a private conversation that I believe in you, I think you're going to do great things. But if you're visibly in public in front of other people who also are influencers or decision makers at your firm, that's different, because now that's bringing more eyes to you, and that's bringing an opportunity for you to be into a different level. Yeah, JR, did you have something to add?
I would say, I guess no. Like, Whitney really kind of said everything I was gonna say. But again, setting those clear goals and just setting like that expectation of like, hey, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to go after. But how can I help you as well? Like, is there something that's on your plate, or something, that idea that you have that you want spearheaded, but you just don't have the resources, or don't have the bandwidth, or need some help conceptualizing that? Right? Because, at the end of the day, we're all people. We all have a lot of stuff. We're all busy, and, everybody needs some type of help. And so I think being able to offer that, if you have bandwidth to do so, that goes a long way, because and then delivering on that, that goes a long way of showing that you're reliable, and saying that like, oh, I know that JR, I know that Whitney or Keanu can knock this out because I asked them to do something, they did it, and they went above and beyond whatever they had to do. So yeah, no, it's been really, really cool, like to really kind of like look at that in real time with, some people I've mentored or like with my own self. So it's been cool.
Kiana, can I give an example?
Absolutely.
So this question makes me think back to the 2019 Compto conference, the last time we've had an in-person conference. So I'm so excited for the conference in Florida. So an example of a win-win mentor relationship, I was able to get our CEO and our deputy CEO to come to the Compto conference. So in the past, maybe they had said they believe in diversity. Maybe they said they believe in DEI, supplier diversity, where have you, but they put their money behind their mouth and they actually came to the conference and they were able to see what Compto is all about on a national level, and it was great. I benefited from that because my CEO, obviously, we have a CEO summit every year at the Compto conference, and he actually brought me into the CEO summit. So I was able to listen in on those conversations. I wasn't supposed to be there, but I was just sitting there, in my suit, acting like I'm a CEO. And so I was able to soak up a lot of game and knowledge from that conversation. So that's, to me, that's how a mentor showing sponsorship. And that, I know that's the next question, but that's more than just a conversation. That's actually taking action to say, hey, I like this young man. I want him to grow. So let's bring him in an environment with a bunch of successful people. So hopefully he can learn something from that conversation.
Absolutely. And you actually, that was a great segue into our next question on sponsorship. So I just for folks who might have not heard what this is. So basically sponsorship is like that next level of mentorship. So that's where you have those people who believe in you, who have invested in you personally, professionally, and that's that person when they are in a room with other decision makers, your name is being brought up and you are not even present. That's that next level of sponsorship. So let's talk about that really quick. Why is having a sponsor important to career growth? JR, you want to take that? Whitney, JR, go ahead and jump in on that one.
Sure. Sponsorship is how I got here in my current job, to be completely honest with you. Sponsorship is how I got to a lot of different places in my career. Matter of fact, I'll rewind it back to my first my time at if you don't mind me giving a short story at LA Metro. So LA Metro, I got hired in an entry-level training program doing social media. I was in the rail operations center, 5:30 in the morning, sending tweets about the blue line being down, right? I've always had passion for transit since I was a kid. From there, I expressed this to some people who worked in downtown. I eventually moved out of that position to another one. And the person, I had a couple of people who saw my drive, who saw my vision, especially as I started to join Compto and started doing more and more things around the agency and around Gateway Plaza. I happened to find myself in service planning because somebody was advocating, people were advocating. I still don't know who it was to this day. People were advocating for me to the service planning manager saying, hey, this kid has something, this kid has something. He's smart. He may not be polished, but we can figure that out, right? And so there I was. I got in as a junior transportation planner, doing random bus stop removal projects for downtown LA. This is the third largest transit agency in the country. So I went from just sending tweets about the blue line being down to about a year later, learning how to speed up service along Hill Street in downtown LA, right? Just based off of the work I put in, the networking I've done, and people just being in a room where I wasn't speaking on me and saying like, hey, bring this cat over here, he can do some good stuff. And 8 years later, here I am, the largest global consulting firm in the world, making moves. And so like that's what that does. Like that's what sponsorship does. It shows us that it was like people will go to bat for you so long as you have that follow through and you come and you say you're a person on your word, you say you're gonna do what you're gonna do. Like that's down that. Go ahead, Whitney.
No. I'm gonna continue to use your story and you yourself as an example. So what we've been describing is, getting out your comfort zone, talking to people, making it known what your goals are, being humble. Because I've seen JR, be humble enough to help out or do things in different situations to make himself known. Uh, Also, I'm sure JR can tell you this. He doesn't have a traditional planning background, right? But now he has a planning position for a global firm. So also, when the opportunity comes, take the opportunity and figure it out later, right? So
That opportunity and the lifetime of the opportunity, because that
don't
opportunity is not, that's a short shelf life. Short.
Exactly. Usually don't come around twice.
That's
So,
right.
most people assume like it will come around twice and they will wait until they're quote unquote ready. No, take the
Right.
opportunity, figure it out later, work on your personal development. You can figure out the technicalities of the position and all that kind of stuff. You can learn that. You can figure that out. But the opportunity itself will not come twice.
Absolutely, absolutely. So real quick, we have about, we're about 20 minutes. So y'all, I'm excited. Compto National Conference, we are back in person. I'm so excited to see y'all in person. What are y'all most looking forward to?
I would say, and I know they're going to plug this later, but the emerging leaders session, right? We're gonna be in effect, Surreal, Aisha. We're gonna have plenty of great panelists and speakers to talk about these and more sessions, and I'll let Aisha talk more in depth about that. But the reason I know Aisha and Jr. is because of different relationship building activities outside of the conference, right? Not being afraid to go to a brunch or a lunch or on a cruise, just talking to different, because yes, at Compto conferences we have cruises and different things of that nature. So just talking to different people and once again making yourself known, because you never know where those relationships can lead. I think when in 2020 when I was able to obtain the President's Award, Aisha and Chris Macklin out of Jacksonville, they were people who wrote my letter of recommendations, right? That was built from personal relate. That was built from us eating crab in Baltimore, right? That was built from those types of relationships. So just putting yourself out there and built and being helpful to others, helping other people succeed. I think that good karma comes back to you.
Absolutely.
100%.
What you looking forward to?
First of all, shout out to Mamas in the Half Show, Baltimore, Maryland. Best guy
Yes.
in life. And thank you, Aisha, for putting us on to that. But no, like I would say being back in person. I am an extrovert to the utmost, right? So I love just like talking to people, learning about people's stories, and then just being able to connect with people like face to face and just being able to go do things, right? Being able to be, and not even just about the fun stuff, but also about the sessions that we have, being able to get some knowledge about like different emerging trends in the industry. I learned about, I think the last one I went to was Baltimore. And I remember learning about like how one of the Minneapolis, I think the regional agencies have partnered with Amazon to create like a new bus route. And then you kind of started to look at like, well, how does a P3 partnership work between like, the private sector and a public agency and like, its many uses, like in just learning those things within like an hour had me think about how we can, like at my time at Apple, like, oh, we can use our shuttles to work with SFMTA. We can do this with AC Transit and BART. We can do a lot of different things there. So, having those ideas, like, and being able to be inspired. I think that's the big thing for me is being able to be inspired, learn something, and take that back with me through, like, not only my current job, but throughout the rest of my career, wherever they may take. But yeah, I would say just, and then connecting with y'all. I miss y'all. I haven't seen y'all in years, literally years. We all been inside. So I'm looking forward to kicking with my peoples from Emerging Leaders for sure.
Absolutely.
Inspiration. Kiana, can I talk on inspiration? Compto is the only organization where I can go to a conference and see people who look like me in various capacities and leadership positions, because many of us work in a dominant work environment on year round. So I'm able to go to a conference, like you said, and re-energize myself. See
Yes.
people across the nation who are doing great things, that I can take that energy back locally to our chapter and to our work environments, to get refueled and reinvent that passion at the local level. So it's a recharge, it's an inspirational endeavor. And I do have a lot of fun at Compto conferences. I have the most fun at Compto conferences. I learn a lot, but I have a lot of fun. So I want to plug that as well. Plug fun.
Right. And back to the
Absolutely.
inspiration thing, like even seeing the cats that come up under us, right? Or like those who are like the true, younger professionals, the Mariah Stanleys, the Dante Floods, like those folks who lived and breathed this stuff, the city interns, those different things, they inspire me as well. Because like, I was where they were at one point in time, but like being able to see the new generation come up and like, take the agency or the industry by a chokehold. I think I love that. Being able to like make a mark for yourself and be who you are, and speak how you are, being able to have the free reign to be you. That feels really, really good. And like to Whitney's point.
Yeah, I'm really excited about the scholarship banquet because emerging, seeing that future leaders, those future leaders are my passion. That's what gets me excited. So being able to take gems from them and bring that back and figure out how I can bring that next group in and encourage them to join pursue a career in transportation. That's it for me. But y'all, let's talk real quick about goals and game plans for the Compto conference. Because while y'all said we have fun, but we get our work done too. So why is creating a game plan important when people are looking to attend Compto?
So real quick, JR touched on it earlier. When we were younger, we were just attending Compto conferences, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and just happy to be there. But now I think it has to be strategic. To Surreal's point, you have to develop goals. You personally, what are your goals? Are you looking for a promotion? Are you looking to obtain a mentorship relationship? Are you looking for a new position with a new company? Because that's the nature of the industry that we're in right now. So you have to establish that. I believe Compto National has a list of participants on the website, so you can strategically look and see who's going to be in attendance and how you can introduce yourself and start to create those relationships at the conference. Obviously, you're going to need business cards. And obviously, I believe presentation is very important. You can never make a first impression twice. So you make sure that your suit or your dress game is proper as well.
Yep. It can be overwhelming. I know it was for me when I first went there in Atlanta 2014. Yeah, 2014. I didn't have a game plan. I was like, all right, I'm about to get this little suit off the Men's Warehouse rack and we just gonna make it work, right? And and I'm at a place where like, oh, I'm on the bus with a police escort, and like right behind me is Kasim Reed, the mayor of Atlanta. What? We're going to the World of Coca-Cola. What is going on, right? So I'm just, so that's when 2014. Now when I go this year, it's like, all right, you gotta dress for the job that you want and not the job that you have. I gotta get that out the way. I have to learn that the hard way. Two, being like you said, like have a game plan and saying like, okay, this is what I want to get out of it. These are the people I want to meet, or if you even don't know like who exactly you want to meet, these are the level of people I want to connect with. Do I want to connect like down, up, and across? Like what are my goals out of this conference, right? And then three, give yourself grace. I will say that's with anything. If you don't feel like you don't connect, or you feel like you stumbled over the block of like introducing yourself and like you need that person, that may not just be the mentor for you. That's fine. Like you got to give yourself grace and understand that like things happen. You just got to keep moving. You got to keep moving forward and just continue to have a short memory. Just like continue to push through and like connect with as many people as you can within like your own bandwidth and capacity. And if you don't take business cards, that's okay. That's why we have these things. Well, you can't really see it's the phone. Open up LinkedIn. That's why they got QR codes. You scan it, boom, instant business card right there.
Yes.
So like just keep that in mind. If you can't take them, take them. If you feel like you can't take them in your carry-on or whatever, make sure your phone is charged, and just being able to put names to faces and follow them right then and there, because you will forget. I have forgotten so many times. So yeah.
Two things: the power charger thing that you can plug your phone in real quick, and there is an app called Blink. Fantastic. You can put all your information in there. They scan your QR code. You get LinkedIn, email, phone number, everything right there into your phone. It is the best app that I have found for getting rid of my business cards. And you're saving, carbon footprint. because we environmentally friendly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
You know,
Sustainability.
but that part right there, doing it right then. You know, don't wait until you get to your room. Now you trying to go through 300 business cards. Do it right there. Hey, let me get your information. I got it. Boom, scan and send. Done. And then you can, you know, then you create. So I think my thing would be to create your follow-up plan. Because we always, you know, we have these ideas and, oh, we're going to get together. We're going to do this. Create your follow-up plan. And that can be as simple as sitting down in your room at the end of that night or early in the morning, depending on, you know, what your night looked like at the conference. But just look some few action items. Jot down a few bullets from what y'all talked about during that conversation. So when you send that follow-up email, hey, it was great meeting you at the Compto conference, include those bullets so that person will then remember, oh yeah, I remember talking to Keanu about that. I remember talking to Whitney about that. And then put in your ask, whether that's coffee, a follow-up call, a Zoom, however you want to follow up, but go make sure that you have that action plan for your follow-ups and follow through on those follow-ups. That's my plan. That's my plan. So while we're real quick, for anybody who is in the room, if you have questions for us, please put them in the chat or the Q&A box. We are about 10 minutes from close, so we want to make sure that we are engaging everyone in the room. So questions, comments, are y'all ready for Compto? Have you signed up for Compto? If you have not, go ahead and sign up for Compto. And I think Gatwiri is going to drop that link in there for you to register if you have not. If you have not, you are going to miss a great time.
Hey, Kiana, JR, and Whitney, we do have one question in the Q&A box. It's from an anonymous attendee. They are asking, do you have any advice for solo attendees attending without coworkers? So that's a great question if you guys want to handle that one.
That is a great question. Ooh.
No, I think that's a great question, and I think you have the right people ahead of you to answer that question, because I believe JR and myself have both attended multiple conferences solo. Mm-hmm. The reason I know about Compto is because an older gentleman at my internship back in 2013 put a Compto flyer on my desk and told me, you probably should attend this conference. And I was able to see, hey, are you guys going to pay for me to go to this conference? They did. They obliged, and I attended. So the majority of the conferences that I've attended by myself. This year, we will have some more people there. So that leans more to what we were talking about earlier in terms of making yourself uncomfortable, introducing yourself to more people, and just making yourself available. Don't do what you do at home. Don't go to the sessions and then go back to your room and watch Netflix. You have to attend multiple sessions, put yourself out there, and just talk. Just be yourself. You don't have to put on a facade or anything like that, but just talk to people. People at Compto conferences are very nice, very outgoing, very warm, and it's not as hard as it sounds. I know public speaking can be intimidating for some people, but if you just put yourself out there, great things will come from it.
Agreed. Most of, if not all, the conferences I've attended solo, right? Yeah, you gotta just get out there and meet people. Like I found out, like Whitney, I found out about Compto when I was in grad school, and like after my first year at Metro, somebody was like, "Oh, I didn't know what Compto was." I was like, "Yeah, Compton around the corner." Like, yeah, I know what Compton is. And then it was like, "Oh no, Compto." I'm like, "Oh, Compto. No, I don't know what that is." So then as that happened, that's how I found out about the scholarship. One got sent out to Atlanta to receive the scholarship. My mama still got the big old check. To this day, we ain't throwing that out. That's going to the trophy room. And then from there, I got involved with the Southern California chapter. Moved up to the Bay Area, got involved with the Northern Cal chapter. So like, you know, I would say like getting out there and just meeting people and just getting outside your comfort zone, going to the dinners, going to the, if somebody's like, "Hey, I'm about to go grab a beer down here," do it. We all, I mean, hopefully if you're going, you're 21 and up, then you do it. You know, like, because the worst thing that can happen is that you just don't connect with that one person.
Okay,
It's a conference of thousands.
absolutely.
So yeah.
We have another question, y'all. What's a good opening comment when you see a potential mentor? How would you approach or get them talking? That is a great question too.
Yeah, what's up with it? No, I'm kidding. Don't do that. No, I would say just like, it's just like, hi, how you doing? My name is J.R. Alexander. This is what I do. You know, like, what's your name? What do you do? And just kind of start the conversation. I like to have, like, you know, take some time to get to know you a little bit more if that's possible. You know, that's just how I kick things off usually. What about you? Like, what do you like? What's your go-to opener?
Same thing. I don't have a go-to opening.
Right. Yeah.
Just be yourself. I think posture and confidence, like you said, is more important than anything. You know, look them in the eyes, give them a firm handshake. I think those things that sticks with them more than what exactly you say. Just be yourself, be impressionable. You want them to remember that conversation. And to Kiana's point, what separates you is following up, because they're gonna meet hundreds of people during the conference, but only a few people are going to take that extra step to follow up, and that'll make a great impression if you want that person to be a potential mentor.
So Sorrel dropped in the chat, and we've got about 5 minutes left. Is this your first conference? That is a great opening question. I mean, especially if you're at a conference and it's your first time too, that's an automatic way to be like, oh, okay, we got something in common. And if you find somebody that is their first conference, you got a conference buddy right there. Y'all can, you know, look at the schedule, confirm, you know, like confer and see which workshops you're going to attend, which ones I'm going to attend. And that kind of starts that conversation. I think finding a conference buddy is a great way to break the ice. Even if it's somebody that's above you, you know, somebody that's a CEO, that's actually a great way, because they might be able to get you, like Whitney, into a CEO conference. You didn't even know. You just, you know, you said hello. Is this your first conference too?
Mm-hmm.
Now you in here with CEOs.
Yeah, that's how I got to the Council of Presidents meeting. I was supposed to be there. I was like, oh, okay, got a little free breakfast. I was like, oh, nice up in here. So
Yes, it's different in the COP rooms. And then also, I like that. I really like that question. And people like to talk about themselves. So ask targeted questions, and as they're talking about themselves, what they're passionate about, what they do, you can identify something that's passionate for you too, and then it'll make it easier for you to speak and you build that relationship from there. Absolutely.
Well, we've got about 4 more minutes. So Aisha, I'm going to turn it back over to you first. Thank you, Whitney and JR. This has been such a great conversation, and I cannot wait to see y'all in person so we can continue this chat. For everybody in the chat room, thank you so much for joining us. If you see us at the Compto conference, please do not be afraid to come and say hello. We are nice. We will say hello back. We might go get a drink or a beer with you. We might have some conversation. So don't feel free. Hey, Aisha.
Hey, Kiana, how's it going? Well, I just want to say thank you all so much for spending your time and talent and sharing all these great nuggets for the Compto membership today. I'm a fan. I'm a big fan. I have a high level of respect for each of you individually. And then when you all come together to deliver this information in this way, it's incredible. So I really, really appreciate you all. Also, as Kiana stated, we will be expanding on this topic during the Emerging Leaders Forum at the Compto conference. So we hope to see you all there. Katwir is going to give you more information on that. And also special thank you to the audience, to everyone who joined the webinar today. We know that time is very valuable. And the fact that you saw the value in coming and see the best or brightest of Compto today, we really appreciate you joining us, and we look forward to connecting at the conference. And with that, I'll pass it over to Compto National to close us out.
Thank you, Aisha. Make sure I'm off mute. I'm sorry about that. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Aisha. Thank you, Kiana, Sorrel, Whitney. I'm sorry, current slide. I just want to share a little bit more information before we close the webinar. Just to remind you, as we've been talking about the conference, The 51st National Meeting and Training Conference will take place July 9th through 11th in Fort Lauderdale. The Compton Fort Lauderdale is the host chapter. We have a lot of exciting events planned for you during that weekend. And just to highlight once again, the Emerging Leaders Forum is taking place Sunday, July 10th from 3:30 to 5. And one thing I failed to mention is that there's also going to be an Emerging Leaders reception after the Emerging Leaders Forum. So that being said, once you get all this great nuggets of information from the forum, you can then go on to the reception and get to know more of the emerging leaders and any other leaders that are in attendance at the conference. It's going to be a great time. I have the QR code there. I've also dropped the registration link in the chat. I'm getting feedback. I'm sorry about that. And once again, if you have any questions about our events, membership, the conference, please visit comptonational.org. I'm going to check the chat one more time, make sure there's no questions. It looks like we're good. I'd like to thank everyone once again for joining us. We look forward to seeing you in Fort Lauderdale in a few weeks. And everyone, please have a great afternoon. Thank you all.